Char Stories. Hi there, and welcome to Char Stories. This is the Wisdom of Women Part 3 Sisterhood episode. I just came back from the most incredible girls' weekend away. And in fact, this episode is actually very much dedicated to them. I grew up as an only child, and my half sister Emily was born when I was 14 years old. So I learned early on how to entertain myself and be by myself. I have a lot of hobbies and interests that keep me busy, and I'm not fearful of spending time with myself. I was very fortunate to meet my dear friend Wendy in my teens. And a big plug for her right now. She has a great podcast titled The Mid that she co hosts with her lifelong friend Teresa. I must start listening to. It's a podcast that's like a call to your close girlfriend where everything midlife is explored. So give it a listen and a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Now, throughout our lives, Wendy and I have had times when we were very close. And then we've also had like long expanses where we were very far from each other. But no matter what, we have always been there for each other, and we were always able to find our way back to each other. And this was the case throughout each of us getting married and having kids at different times in our lives. So, thanks to my dear friend Wendy, I was invited to an annual girls' weekend away. A group of 7 women rented a cottage on Lake Ontario, and we had a blast. There was good food, great sunny weather, and lots of heart to heart conversations, along with riotous laughter. It was one of those where, my cup runneth over, right? I can't stress enough how healing it was to be with this group of women. And I want to explore that a little more in this episode. In my last episode, I spoke about belonging and how systemic bias can manifest in the workplace. I accept, I acknowledge, I know we are whole people with complex lives and personalities and needs. And while I have been searching for older women role models and mid to late life women's stories or movies, and I've keenly been researching women philosophers of the past, I didn't think I was aware, or I don't think I was aware, that my journey also included a search for sisterhood. I don't think I could have articulated it in such a way that demonstrated the depth of this search and need. And it wasn't until I was surrounded by such acceptance and support from other women who they themselves are just trying to do their best in life that I realized how much it fed my soul. It fed my spirit. Now, as mentioned, I do have a biological half sister and I adore her. But due to our 14-year age gap, growing up, I was rebelling for independence at the time that she was a toddler. So we didn't have the same kind of sister dynamic growing up as some of my peers. And we do have that closeness now as adults, but it's still a little different because she lives in a different province than me, and we don't get to actually see each other or spend time with each other that frequently. And there is something to be said about a circle of women that one can turn to. There is power in a circle of women, or dare I say, a coven of witches. Just teasing. I'm really the only witch in the group. Indigenous communities have annual gatherings, and many things get accomplished at those events, whether it be celebrations and gratitude ceremonies, or perhaps nurturing of new partnerships, or the sharing of knowledge amongst elders, or even, planning for the crop season ahead. So over the weekend, we women shared so much with each other. It felt as though it was an unburdening for those of us who had had a lot of difficulty the past year. It felt as though we could be completely vulnerable with each other and not be judged and not have to compete or be on all the time. The sharing that happens between a woman and another woman who understands and accepts her and then offers a word of encouragement or support is immensely powerful. And especially if they didn't know each other much beforehand. It is a level of the greatest vulnerability and total acceptance that I could only identify as sisterhood. It could have been really easy for the girls' weekend to have been a situation where there was a level of bias against me as the outsider, or new one to the group. But I went with an open mind and an open heart, and wow, did they respond. There wasn't any awkwardness. I didn't sense or feel any outsiderness, at all. Sure, there were laughs from the past and memories I wasn't a part of, but that was okay. And it felt to me as though they accepted me as I was. And they allowed me to be my geeky self amongst them. I brought my inflatable stand up paddleboard, some Japanese face masks for everyone, and even my oracle cards for some real magic and fun. Without going too much into the woo woo magic of women, I do want to identify the strength of women and how powerful it feels to be surrounded by that inherent female strength. It's a calm undercurrent of connection that I immediately felt. It was undeniable, the magnetic pull and the looks that we exchanged in knowing each other, as though it was a coming home of sorts. I come from a long line of teachers. My Lola grandmother was a teacher and school principal. My mother was a teacher at university. And I believe that I was some sort of teacher or healer in a past life. My husband teases me that I was a medicine woman or an old sage in my past life due to what he calls my gifts, with my healing hands and the magic that seems to happen when I bring out my oracle or tarot cards. And I was fortunate that I got to share my gifts with these women, and they were welcomed by everyone. It felt to me as though I fit into the group, as though I was always meant to be there. And it was just lovely on so many levels. As a working professional mother, it is exhausting for women, having to always be on and playing a dutiful role for others. The many expectations we manage and navigate in one day is just exhausting, even thinking about it. To have been able to shut that off, even if just for a weekend, was a level of freedom I hadn't experienced before. The tears shed in those very intimate sisterhood moments was profound, and it helped us each to feel seen, heard, and understood, to not have to worry about another human being because the group was so highly competent and efficient at taking care of the cottage, the group meals, and activities. It was all so easy. We're all mothers, so, we got shit done. As we age, a sense of connection and community play into our longevity. I didn't realize I was looking for my sisterhood. It would make sense that perhaps I was looking for a leader in the group, but I wasn't. In a sisterhood, my thoughts are there is no one leader, and that it's not hierarchical like that, but more that we are each leaders in our own right. And in the group and at different times, we rise up to share our gifts, and it is either for the greater good of the group or to lift another one up. Sometimes leadership isn't just about superiority or delegation. Sometimes it's showing vulnerability and or sharing wisdom, lived experience, sharing space and safety. To all my women listeners and viewers out there, find your sisterhood. Find those who can carry your heart when you are too tired. Find those who can lift you up when you feel heavy. And find those who see the magic within you and they celebrate it. If you've had a sisterhood moment like what I've described, please let me know what your experience was like. I would be so pleased to hear from you in the comments. And be sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube, or if you're listening, watching on Spotify, be sure to subscribe there too. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and thanks for listening. Char story.